So in my last video, I covered Ultimate Spider-Man and the Marvel side of bringing back old universes. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the DC side of things, and we're going to start with DC's answer to Ultimate Spider-Man being Absolute Batman. So before we actually get to Absolute Batman, same with the Marvel video, we got to talk about what led up to this new universe being conceived in the first place. So in the All-In special that came out last year, written by Scott Snyder and a bunch of other people, the heroes are still recovering from the events of Absolute Power. I'm not going to spend a crazy amount of time on this event because so much happens, so here is a very quick summary about what happens in Absolute Power. The DC heroes pretty much get snuck by Amanda Waller and her team of God Amazos. These Amazos pretty much steal everybody's fucking powers, and the whole gimmick for this event is pretty much like, okay, what are the heroes going to do now? They don't have powers. So, the usual, like, just nonsense, chicanery, debauchery, all that stuff. Green Arrow pretty much ends up clutching the whole goddamn universe, and the powers get released back to everybody, but the twist is like, oh, some people have powers, some people don't, some of them are mixed up, and some people just straight up just lost it. The All-In special pretty much is like the direct follow-up to everything that happened in that event. The actual book is pretty unique because it's a book with like two stories that intersect in the middle, which is really sick, I can't lie. The two stories are appropriately called Alpha, which covers like Prime DC, and Omega, which is the absolute side, but it's literally just focused on Darkseid. To summarize what happens in Omega, Darkseid murks a bunch of people in order to get the power of the Spectre. The whole reason he's doing this is because from the Prime DC universe, he felt a surge of power that was caused by, all the powers being released back to everybody, and he decided that the only way to capitalize on getting that power was to absorb the Spectre and to invade the other universe. This literally just ends by him getting his ass beat by Superman, and then it kind of gets a little shifty, I can't lie. As he's getting beaten, he decides to put all his energy into a planet to create, and I quote, "If their world is driven by hope, then this would be driven by challenge, by turmoil." I'm not gonna lie, Darkseid was really about that. He said, if I'm gonna create a planet, everybody here is gonna have to abide by challenge and turmoil. Like, he was on that timing. Also, one very important thing that is different from the Ultimate Universe is that there is direct acknowledgement of this other universe by the Prime DC people. Like in 616, there is zero acknowledgement of 6160. But as soon as the Prime DC guys catch wind about this, Wonder Woman is immediately like, okay, when are we going? Bro, she is so raw, like, relax. Okay, it's enough about that other stuff. Let's get into Batman. Absolute Batman is written by my boy Scott Snyder and is drawn by a goddamn machine in Nick Jagoda. So I'd like to imagine that we kind of know the drill at this point for these new universes. It's mainly the same cast and location, but there are some very key differences. For one, look at this boy's goddamn frame. Me, that is massive. So we all know Bruce Wayne's origin story. It involves his parents dying in Crime Alley, but there is a bit of a twist this time. And if I'm being completely honest, it's a bit darker this time. So in this universe, Thomas Wayne is not a doctor, he's a teacher, and he ends up dying during a school field trip, which is kind of crazy. And look at this, his mom is still alive. So that's one of those things I was talking about. It's very different. Moving on, Alfred is actually more or less the other main character of this book, even if the title says otherwise. Snyder gives him a ton of budget to flesh out his character and his backstory. It's crazy. He is also way different in this book, as instead of being Batman's guy in the chair and being Bruce's butler, he is a full-fledged mercenary in Gotham. It is just like, okay, whoa. So we catch both Bruce and Alfred in the middle of the action, as they both have respective plots against the Party Animals, which is a new group of thugs headed by Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask. So right here we get some true cinema, and this page is just like holy cinema. Out of everything I've read this year, I remember this page specifically making me go like, oh boy, this is pretty. Like, the art, the paneling on it is just so nice. Like, I think you can imagine this playing out like a movie with him up on the building and then the newsfeed playing in the background and it's slowly like zooming out on him. It reminds me from the scene of The Dark Knight. Maybe it's where he got his inspiration from, but it's so similar and I love it. I love this scene so much as well. And after this, we really start to see what this Batman is capable of. And man, he's gangster as f. My boy was just hibernating like a bat and then burst out of his cocoon. If I'm here, I'm vacating the premises immediately. And just look at his goddamn repertoire. This is ridiculous. Like, how are you capable of all of this? And I find it kind of funny how every single thing Batman is doing looks so lethal and brutal, but Alfred goes out of his way to say, oh, he's not hitting an artery, he's good. Like, every time he does it, it's kind of funny. This Batman is actually raw as fuck though. He cuts off this guy's hand and then tells the rest of the thugs to get the fuck out of his way. Bravo, brother. I'm in support of that. Later on, we actually get to see his hideout. And one thing I forgot to mention actually is that this Bruce Wayne does not have Wayne Enterprises to back him, because, you know, all the philanthropy Martha and Thomas did in the other universe, it never happened because Thomas is not a doctor this time. So he doesn't have like infinite money to do all these things. But it's still kind of weird that in the later issues he does some pretty like it's crazy stuff. It's like, how do you do this if you don't have money? Like, how? But goddamn, Dragotta just adds so much aura to like the high rise view. It's just so nice. So Alfred ultimately finds out where Batman is staying, and he tries to sneak him because basically what happened is that Batman just took his bike and fucking left. Like, he just took it and left. And then Batman, Randy Orton style, out of nowhere, straight domes him with batarangs out of a shotgun. This looks so ridiculous without any context because it literally just looks like he shot him in the face with just like a shotgun. Like, and then he literally stunts on Alfred by driving out of the high-rise with a motorcycle. I literally did not know Bruce was about that. He was aura farming the whole first issue, bro. It's wild.